Without further ado, we have some special guests tonight. I'm delighted to invite up the co-directors of Chili Finger, Edd Benda and Stephen Helstad. And actress Judy Greer.
That was awesome. I just got played on by an organ. Hey everybody, I'm Edd Benda. How y'all doing? Hey, I'm Stephen Helstad.
Judy Greer.
She is Judy Greer. We know where we stand. What is going on, Chicago Critics Film Fest viewers? What's going on? Thank you. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. We are really, it has been such a blessing. We've really only screened this film a handful of times, and for y'all to be showing up on a Tuesday on Cinco de Mayo with a Cubs game down the street, and you have chosen to spend your night here celebrating independent cinema warms my heart. So thank you. Thank you. And we have an incredible amount of people that we need to thank, and I'll let Stephen kind of kick that off.
Yeah, I mean, this movie does not happen without the support of, first and foremost, like the state of Illinois for having an incredible tax incentive that allows us to come here and make it. So, state of Illinois. But yeah, the city of Chicago, we cast the film here. We had a lot of incredible local actors who are in the audience. And yeah, you all just have such an immense and incredible network of craftspeople in the city of Chicago. We were fortunate enough to be able to bring down to Champaign for our month of filming and borrow them. So if you like what you see up on the screen, it was not possible without, your fellow Chicagoans. And as somebody, I grew up in Wisconsin. I was taught to hate Chicago. Go Pack Go. But after, wow.
Dude, we're trying to warm them up.
Yeah. I think we just lost the audience award.
I'm a Lions fan. Let's get some pity votes.
But yeah, Chicago's pretty great. I'm going to stop talking now. Shoot.
So, just real quick, because I know that there are a bunch in here. If we have crew, if you could raise your hand, if you worked on this movie, and also we have a who's who. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I know we have a lot of cast in here. You're going to see them on screen. You'll see them in the lounge after. Love them. Chicago, you have such a rich theater scene. You have such rich performance. And I'm so grateful to get to introduce the pride of DePaul University and a legend of the boards at your home, Steppenwolf, Miss Judy Greer.
I didn't plan on speaking before the movie, but someone said to speak from my heart, but if I do, it'll make me cry because this movie is a real gift, and I'm so excited to share it with you. It's an incredible story. It is so weird, and it is so weird that these two young men made it. You'll see what I mean. Thank you. Because it's about a woman my age, that's why it's weird. I could not be more excited for you to see this film, and we'll talk all about it afterward, but thank you all so much for coming, for your support, and God bless Chicago, man. This is where my heart lives, so anyway, all right.
Enjoy the movie, y'all.
Enjoy the movie.
Everyone. What do you guys think? My name is Isaac Feldberg. I'm here with the Chicago Film Critics Association. I'll start that over. I'm delighted to be here tonight with the co-directors of Chili Finger, Edd Benda and Stephen Helstad, and the star of Chili Finger, Judy Greer. Please welcome them.
You have jobs?
Thank you all for being here with us tonight. We're so delighted to be celebrating this film, and judging by that thunderous applause as we were coming in, I think the crowd's into it. I'd like to start at the beginning, if I can, just by asking about how a project like Chili Finger first came, into all of your lives. Of course, I remember something about a Chili Finger from a news clipping several years ago. There's a long path between something that goes on at a Wendy's in San Jose and this film. So, whoever would like to take that first.
Yeah, well, that's how it first entered my life, was reading that news article and kind of filing that away as just a great concept and jumping off point for a dark comedy, which is a genre that I grew up loving. And but yeah, it really wasn't until COVID happened that I had this unstructured time to just write, that I sat down, wrote the first draft, brought it to Ed a couple months later, and then we had the next couple months to develop it together.
And that's where it came into my life. So Steven and I, we've been collaborators for over a decade, and yeah, as he said, he had an opportunity to sit down and write an initial draft and shared it with me, and it just touched on so many things I love about movies and what we love about movies, and what we wanted to achieve together. And so from that point on, we were developing the script as well as working hard to attach talent. We were so grateful that John was willing to join this team of ours, and then from there we had an incredible casting director, and including Jennifer Radnicki and Nikki in Chicago. We really helped build out this cast, but that ultimately we were able to work with Kate Geller, who got it in front of Judy, and with each of these layers we were able to enhance the script, and then it was at a place where it came to your life. And what was that?
That's how I got it. The story.
And what was it about the story, Judy, that drew you in? If you could talk a little bit about Jessica Lidke. I'm curious, how you keyed into this character. And
I read it and it just was so dark, and I love a woman who would do this, like playing someone who is out of hope at her wit's end is so interesting to me. I actually don't remember this story when it happened. I also don't eat a lot of chili, so maybe that's why it didn't stick. But I liked this. I loved this character, and I was so excited to try to play her with love and compassion. Like, I didn't want her to be just like a crazy person. I wanted it to, I hope you guys, I wanted it to feel like real. Like, maybe someone might, someone did do this, but but maybe someone would do this. And just this time in this woman's life, and I'm an only child, and my mom is here, my dad is here, so I was thinking about when I went away to school and they were partying the whole time. And I was so happy they were to me, just kidding. But I thought of that too, and anyway, I just loved it, and I couldn't really believe that these guys made this, these young men were telling this story.
We were just dealing with perimenopause. Really.
Nobody understands the hormonal changes of a woman.
We read a lot of Miranda July.
The most fun part about reading All Fours was knowing Steven was reading it at the same time.
And you're all speaking to something that is so miraculous about this film, which is it's just tonal balancing act. There's so much that's happening in terms of the humor of this film, the absurdity of the situation that these characters are in, but you're completely grounded in everything that's happening for Jess emotionally. And so much of that is carried, Judy, in your performance. You're balancing those two extremes as the situation snowballs. Could you start by?
Oh,
no, go ahead.
thanks. Well, I just don't like to try to play something. I mean, like, I always just want everything to be really grounded and like let them figure it out in the editing room. I wanted her to, like I said, I wanted her to be real. Like, I really loved her, and I really wanted to show her in the most real, kind of grounded way that I could, and just like trust that it was also really funny and really dark. And so I hope I did that.
I think you did.
And for you, Edd and Stephen, and how you're kind of framing the script out to be able to kind of make room for all of these twists and turns, for that tonal dexterity that the film has. Does the tone of the film, the finished film, kind of match what it was when you guys started? And how much of it was just kind of a discovery as you were going?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. I mean, we were always setting out to make a drama first and tell a story that you are first and foremost invested with the characters and the stakes and what may or may not happen. And if some of those stakes are funny, and if some of those circumstances that the characters get themselves into are funny, great. But certainly we never approached it from a like, oh shoot, like we need another joke coming up because there hasn't been one in the last 30 seconds. So it was always coming at it from a place of sincerity and hoping that we tell a compelling story.
And then cast great actors,
Yeah.
and point the camera at them. Like, it really, we were, afforded a tight schedule on an independent budget. We had an incredible crew and team that, bought into what it is we were trying to do, and dedicated so much of their individual craftsmanship to it, it was really just a joy to develop it together, to go in each day very confident in our shot list, very confident in the script and in the words, and then really becoming audience members ourselves and watching Judy Greer and Sean Astin and John Goodman and Bryan Cranston, but then also Sarah Savigny and H.B. Ward and Ed Cross and
Mike Frabler.
Mike Frabler. And getting to just be audience members every day and watching them elevate the work, and it just kind of came naturally because they all knew exactly the kind of movie we were making.
I want to ask, for all of you about this production unfolding in Central Illinois, as it did, in Monticello, in Paxton, Flyover Studios as well. The places that you're filming Chili Finger are such a part of the fabric of this story as well. And I'm just curious what you can say and what you can share about the experience of coming into these communities and telling a story about, the people who are living there.
Yeah, I mean, I think we looked everywhere, including Central Illinois, of course. But yeah, we looked at Alabama, we looked at Washington, to New York, and Edd and I really pushed for filming this in Central Illinois because there is just something, as you all know, growing up or being in the Midwest, there is a look and a feel to it that it's hard to replicate in other areas. And not only that, but then when we got there and met the people in Flyover Studios and the infrastructure that was available to us and the communities that opened up their shops and their restaurants and truly were like team members in wanting us to make this film and being incredibly supportive. It was just a joy for all of us to make the movie there. It was absolutely a blast.
Yeah.
And in terms of also staging some of the most memorable scenes in this movie as you do, and Judy, I'd like to hear from you first on this. You have incredible scenes in this with Sean Astin, with John Goodman, with Bryan Cranston, that are just your characters going to such extremes of all of these characters in different ways. And some of the locations of these, within the fictional fast food chain that I believe was a Hardee's that you filmed at.
It was
well.
a,
Sure
it
was. It was a Hardee's at one point.
Hardee's. I liked Hardee's.
But Hardee's did not like that place, that's for sure.
No. And it became something else. Like now it is a new thing.
I have no idea.
We don't know what. I bet it's great though. It was really fun to be in that restaurant. And it was really fun that there was a big picture of John Goodman, like that drawing of him, and it was there before we started shooting and after we started shooting, stayed up there, and the people, that was in Monticello, right?
Yeah, Monticello.
And everyone loved that. So we were not at all undercover in Monticello. We knew that we were there. And I had
They
to
were so
go.
kind. They would set up lawn chairs.
Yeah, it was great. They let us shoot in the grocery store scene that I'm in when I'm getting groceries that I can finally afford. That was like this crazy. I think we couldn't afford to shoot that scene. We ran out of budget
And time.
and time. And one of our producers, I forget, someone was
Sarah
like,
Sharp, she harangued it.
she went over and she's like, they'll let you be in there for a half an hour now. Like, you have to go now. And I'm like, but I think I might have wrapped
It was your
early.
day off.
Yeah.
One day off. And so I was antiquing.
Pull those
and
cucumbers off your eyes, Judy.
I remember being in an antique store and my cell phone rang and it was Joe, our producer, and I was like, oh, I know this is bad. If the producer is calling me. And so he's like, could you ever? So I rushed back over and we like jumped in this supermarket and we threw our amazing DP into a shopping cart with the camera and we pushed her around in front of me and behind me and we had like 30 minutes to do it. And that's the kind of thing you don't get when you shoot in other places because they don't know that they don't have to do that.
They should have said no.
Yeah, they were like, yeah, for like $10,000. The guy's like, yeah, I guess if you can be out of here by 4. We're like, okay.
Don't take anything out of the refrigerators.
Yeah. I don't even think we had to put the groceries back.
Paid for the
But
groceries.
certainly, like, even like more elaborate sequences, though, like certainly, like, you know, we burnt a barn down. That was a real structure. Yeah, that was a real structure. It was a real barn.
It was really burning you guys.
We really burned it down. You know,
It was so hot.
I want to give a ton of credit. I don't know if he's in the house tonight. Chris Nolte, our stunt coordinator, but you know, he did an incredible job. But executing something like that, you know, required, you know, buy-in creatively on what we were doing. So, you know, we had storyboarded it meticulously. But then on that night, it's a combined effort of so many different specialists to execute that. Not the least of which is the community volunteer fire departments of Paxton and Ludlow and the outlying region. And shout out to small town volunteer firefighters. That is no small feat. And they showed up that night, and they, you know, in a fun way, they treated it like an exercise. But there were moments where that blaze was so insanely hot,
And the wind shifted.
and the wind started blowing towards where our video village was. And Steve and I are sitting here going, oh. And while also going, I can't believe they're letting us do this. This is the coolest thing. As Brian Cranston is next to us, standing up to take a picture, which means that was so validating.
You just showed up to watch the blaze.
But amidst the insanity of it were very calm firefighters, and their calm presence was a very key calming presence to my ability to do my job. And so that's such a unique aspect of production that I wouldn't have thought about going into, is that the demeanor of the volunteer firefighters were essential to us building that sequence. And that was just really cool to be able to collaborate at that level with people from all over Illinois.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to everyone in Illinois. Contribute to this.
Keep voting blue, y'all.
I had started that question by asking about John Goodman and Bryan Cranston and kind of turned it into a location question as well. That's on me.
Right.
But
Sorry.
no, to bring it, you know, to them
Back
as
to
well.
them.
Back to them, just a little bit.
I
There-
get so much attention. And we're here.
I think the way I would bring it, you know, back to them, just with that, is just to say that, you know, in the filmmaker questionnaire, Ed and Stephen, that you filled out very graciously for this festival before the screening, you named both Fargo and Breaking Bad as different kind of tonal influences for you. And I'm curious to like ask a little bit about that in terms of this Midwestern noir tone kind of meeting this story of a character's moral degradation that you've kind of captured here.
Yeah, I mean, to talk to, because I've referenced Breaking Bad, that for me, even more so from a writing perspective, but also just the tone of that show, was incredibly validating and inspiring, and I had never seen anything like it. And just the way that it trusts its audience and is willing to be so incredibly patient with itself and not give you all the answers and expect that you're going to pay attention, and if you don't, you're not going to get it. That was, something very important for me. Like, oh yeah, I resonate with this kind of storytelling. So and Vince Gilligan is a master at it. So really, that's the Breaking Bad reference is more of a Vince Gilligan thing. Obviously, Brian's amazing in it, but
And Brian's in it.
yeah, he's fine.
Well, I don't know. Brian and John are awesome, and I think one of the greatest things is that they brought so much depth of experience, and you guys all get to see that here. But they also brought that, off camera. They were always there off camera, and one of my.
They were so funny together.
Yeah.
There were outtakes for you guys to see. It was distracting because they were always
Just having fun. They were just hanging
fun
out.
with each other.
Yeah, like the scene where Madeline, who plays Blake Jr. II, Madeline was so awesome, isn't she? She's on the phone in the kitchen, and Brian and John are on the other side of that phone call, and they didn't need to be there that day, but they sat in lawn chairs on the other side of the camera, and they did the other side of the phone call with them. And that's it right there. Like those are professionals who showed up to work and respected the effort that was being put in by every person involved, and they held themselves to that standard. And when the people like Judy, Brian, John, and Sean are willing to hold themselves to a work ethic standard that's being matched by a bunch of really enthusiastic at times, how young are you people on our set? Like that's just what makes the work explode to another level.
And speaking of showing up to work every day and just kind of going through an indie production like this, Judy, you're in nearly every scene of this movie, and it's
Isn't that great?
And you just mentioned that even being pulled in on your official day off to kind of get some of this done. What can you say about just the energy that you're sustaining across a production like this, and your character's just so central to every part of it?
It is not, it doesn't feel like a lot of energy until after we wrap and I get home and I'm so exhausted. But I think it's easier to work more. It's like an object in motion stays in motion. The more I'm on set, the easier it is in some ways. I found it's harder to have several days off in a row and then go back to set and be okay, wait, what is everyone's name again? What am I doing? Where are we? And I don't know. So it's kind of feels like cheating when you're in more of it because I'm just always doing it.
Yeah.
And then going home at night and learning everything for the next day, and then I'm going to bed and then I'm waking up and going back to work. And so there's just no end to it, which is what I like. I like that. Because I can go antiquing anywhere. Antique stores are everywhere.
I know that we have to wrap, I think, after this question, just with the next screening coming up. But I did want to just ask each of you if you have a memory that is specifically standing out to you right now, looking back on this production in Illinois, either a day like the supermarket where that improvisation, that energy was really needed from everyone on the crew, or some other detail that just kind of stands out to you in retrospect.
I'll say just because he's sitting right here. No, I can't say that. But no, so one of our scouting trips to Central Illinois, Ed and I, we landed in O'Hare, and the degenerates we are, we beeline for the nearest Culver's. And this very kind gentleman served us, did a great job. And we don't really think much more of it, but then a few weeks later, we're casting for the role of Peter, who is the use portrait mode character in the movie. And we're like, oh man, who could that be? Who would be somebody who would really stand out? And wait, who was that guy who served us at Culver's a few weeks ago? So Mike Fraser.
And big shout out again to Jennifer Rickey, Amy Best, the casting directors.
Yeah, for going out, finding him, Red. He has a musical theater background from high school, I think, which we did not know. So anyways, that was a cool moment.
Yeah. Oh man, that is such a fun story. I think magical discoveries. It was just kind of being there. There were some really magical days on this movie. The night we burned that barn down, it was, that in and of itself was insane. But just before it was this stunningly beautiful sunset, and there was heat lightning way, way off in the distance. And
lightning bugs.
And lightning bugs, and we're
We
just...
don't have those in LA.
Yeah, as they say, the city lights ain't all that bright, right? It's like, and so that just, there were these very select moments where you just sit there, and you were in what felt like in that moment the most beautiful place on earth. And you knew that you were about to burn that thing. And that's what making a movie is all about. And that was really fun. And so I longed to go back there to create it again, because it really was a real joy.
That's my answer too.
And Jarlene's ice cream.
Yeah.
Can we get one more round of applause?